So I just came across this interesting news segment where they are actually saying that mortgages may not be available in some parts of the U.S. for much longer. Meaning, effectively, most people won't be able to buy a house in some parts of the U.S. for much longer. The only way you would be able to without a mortgage is cash, right? I'll let this segment do the explaining. I thought this was interesting. I am not, an economist by any means of the word, so I don't know. It could just be storytelling, but still good to hear, try and understand. Y'all let me know what y'all think. All right, it's Ricky Rich of Black Primacy. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your notifications.
Starting with the growing crisis in the insurance industry and the impact on mortgages. It's going to be really tough to buy a home.
What I'm about to share with everybody is just simply amazing. And the fact that the rest of the media hasn't picked up on it yet, I don't know. Maybe they were looking at the top line of what happened today and didn't pay attention to the lower stuff. What I'm talking about is Fed Chief Jerome Powell. He was testifying before the Senate Banking Committee today, mostly about interest rates. This is what he normally talks about. But in the question and answer period that followed, Minnesota Senator Tina Smith asked about the availability of mortgages in disaster-prone states like California. And the Fed chief, well, he stepped up on this, and here's what he had to say.
Both banks and insurance companies are pulling out of areas, coastal areas and things like that, or areas where there are a lot of fires. So what that is going to mean is that, if you fast forward 10 or 15 years, there are going to be regions of the country where you can't get a mortgage, there won't be ATMs, there won't, the banks won't have branches and things like that.
Let's just chew on that for a second. That is the head of America's central bank, not only observing that insurance is becoming increasingly difficult to get in states like California, but about a decade from now, because you can't get insurance, you won't be able to get a mortgage in parts of places like California. That's a simply mind-blowing thing for a man in his position to be saying, not least of which is because it's not wrong. Mortgage lenders will not extend loans to people unless they have insurance lined up. If you don't have insurance, you're not going to get a mortgage. And so Powell is just making the obvious observation here that indeed, if things play out as they are, there is no financial incentive to issue home loans in places like California. And that really underlines what I've been saying for a long time now, and that is climate change and multi-billion-dollar disasters like the LA fires are simply beyond the scope of most private insurers. To be able to manage that level of risk, you need to spread the risk among the entire population, which means something like a Medicare for all approach to property coverage. And this is the only way that you're able to keep affordable premiums as well. It's the same thing we've seen in the healthcare front. Single-payer systems spread the risk among the entire population, and they're able to keep premiums down. Places like America, which don't do that, we have the highest prices in the world. And what Powell is observing is if we can't get the risk of insurance in some way moderated so that mortgage lenders feel more comfortable, you don't get mortgages. And that obviously is creating a situation that's very, very dire. As Powell said,
it'll fall on homeowners and residents, but it'll also fall on state and local governments, which you see happening now, where they're stepping in states where insurance is going away, private insurance. You're seeing states step in because they want those areas to remain prosperous.
And what that means, in short, is that this isn't just a problem for policyholders or would-be policyholders, it's a problem for taxpayers as well.
Well, I wonder with this if there will be any impact in California of the deal that the insurance commissioner made with insurers to allow them to use modeling when they figure out the risk of things having to do with climate change, weather, etc. And in exchange, they're going to give insurance to some of these fire-prone areas, right? Does that make any impact impact here in California?
Well, to bring everyone up to speed, what Lauren's referring to here is a change that the California Insurance Commissioner approved that allows insurers in California to not just use historical data when setting premiums, but to also use best guesses about climate change, looking forward. And that's a moving target, obviously. And so in answer to your question, yeah, if you start putting climate change on the table, that changes everything, because that means all of the risk is exponentially higher since we know what's happening. Storms, fires, droughts, floods. That is what the future holds. Once you can add that into the insurance equation, insurance becomes even more difficult to then bring out. And obviously, as Powell just observed, if you can't get the insurance, you don't get the mortgage.
And that is crucial. And I hear what he's saying right there, and I hear what you're saying, but doesn't much of the problem also just boil down to affordability? I mean, the ability to, and availability of homes. I mean, we have a housing crisis to begin with.
Well, sure, and if we talk about supply and demand, that's obviously an issue primarily for home buyers, because it's not easy to get a home at an affordable price, but that's just the start of the process. Insurance, the mortgage, property taxes, all of the rest, it all starts to mount, and what that really speaks to is a housing market in which you're going to have haves and have-nots.
Yeah, the affordability is definitely, I mean, that's part of the problem that a lot of people aren't understanding when it comes to mortgage. I think people are starting to get it now, but you know, people aren't understanding that there's more than just the mortgage when it comes to your monthly payment, right? You could defer some of these other things until, like, you know, quarterly, semi-annually, and annually, but that doesn't do anything, because at the end of the day, the money is still owed. And so the smartest way to do it is to put all of these things together with your mortgage, but with the mortgage itself, you know, on average, I think here in California, like, you know, $4,000, right? And then you add on all these insurance and property taxes and everything else that he mentioned there at the end of the video, you get up to the, you know, the mid $5,000, $6,000, and even $7,000 per month range. And so, you know, with these mortgage rates, you know, going up, and then you know, what they're discussing in years may actually, the not mortgage rates, insurance rates going up, and then the mortgages themselves potentially going away. That, you know, things are just going to be so much more expensive to, or it's going to get even more expensive to actually own a home. And it's, you know, it's, I don't think I may not have understood correctly, but I'm curious if we're able to get a mortgage within the next 10 years, are you good, or are they saying that the people, even the people with mortgages, if and when this happens, you know, will those mortgages be called in or something? That's the last thing people need, right? Is the mortgage company to call their notes and say, hey, you know, this effective on this date, this entire balance is due. I can't imagine that being legal, you know, being that you know, a contract was signed and everything was done and in the works. But to me, taking this video at face value, unless I missed something, you guys let me know. It sounds like the mortgages, there will not be any new mortgages. And so if you're fortunate enough to get into a home before this happens, then you'll be good at least for that home. But selling and moving up in houses, you know, will come with its new set of problems. You know, so this will be interesting. You know, like he said, Lazarus said at the end, or at the beginning of the video, you know, this isn't something that's being talked about. It was kind of said out there, but it's not anything that's that's making the headlines right now. Right now, it's all about the, the federal cut, which makes sense, right? Like, we're dealing with federal cuts now. This is in the future, but hopefully we could all get ahead of this. If you're watching this and you got you got a head start by just being in the know. Stay tuned. Stay informed on this situation. I'll definitely be having conversations, with my real estate professionals and stuff like that regarding this, and trying to move accordingly. But yeah, definitely had to share. Thought this was important enough to let the community know about, regardless of where you're at. But definitely, if you're in a city, like they said, that's at high risk for disaster. So, yep. Y'all let me know what y'all think, though. All right. It's Ricky Rich for Black Primacy. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your notifications.